Hey guys, Dr. Ben Galyardt here, author of the book Rebuild Your Brain, Stop the Damage, Start the Repair. And I want to talk about something today that is very special to me because this is the one thing in the world that we can control. The life can be chaotic. We can have kids and jobs and finances and all these different things, and ultimately we have no control over what's going on there. But the one thing that we can control is our brain, and we can control the thoughts going through that brain. And I always say that I am king, but the only thing that I'm king over is what is going on in my brain. And this is a really important step for so many people in that healing process. The first step that I want you guys to think about is becoming an observer. And as we become an observer in this first step, you become that observer of your thoughts, of your mind, of that monkey mind, of what is going through your head at all times. Our brain and our mind is going to be continually thinking about things, and that can be constructive or that can be destructive. But the first step is to become that fly on the wall and to sit on the wall and just observe. So don't judge, don't say, oh, that's bad, that's good, that's a good thought, any of those things. Just start with that observation of what is going on through your mind at that point. And once you start being able to observe it and training yourself to observe the thoughts going through your head, then you can start putting into motion, well, is that going to be constructive or is that going to be potentially destructive? There's a great book out there called Nonviolent Communication, and in that book it goes into in detail on all these different ways that we can have communication with others, and it's constructive or it's violent, any of those things. But the number one chapter that they talk about in there, and the number one thing that you can do, is to be aware of that violent communication inside of our own head. Many times we try to speak a certain way and use words a certain way and be constructive as we speak, but as you start observing what's going on in your own mind, you'll see that, oh wow, I use words that I wouldn't use with my kids. I use words that I wouldn't use with my fellow co-workers or whatever it is. And it's very obvious once you start paying attention how important it is to change those words. And I always talk about, with my patients, I always talk about that flip it, where we're talking about a negative and we're talking about that negative what if and what is going to happen. And instead, let's flip it to that positive. Let's flip it to, okay, well, what if they're coming home for the weekend and they get in a car accident? Oh my gosh, what if something bad happens? Versus, well, what if that person gets here, we have fun, we have a great time, everything works out, and even your whole state changes. You get, you stand up a little bit straighter, you have a little bit more energy, and things start flowing that way. So first step, become that observer. So start observing, start watching your mind, start watching the thoughts going through your head, and then you start making those shifts, because ultimately your brain is going to continually be spiraling and thinking. But what are you going to feed it? What are you going to put into it? What are you going to think about? And really, today I want you to try to focus on those thoughts that are flowing through. Just pay attention, observe, and that is going to be the first step to you getting control back over your own kingdom, control over that mind, and you can be that king of your mind that you know you can be.